Welcome inside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. Dan Hope joined by Andy Anders, coming off of Ryan Day and Jim Knowles' Maryland Week press conference. Back to action for the Buckeyes this week, practicing 4 times leading up to their 5th game of the season against Maryland, and certainly a game that is one that's not quite a Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan level type game, but still one that's a legitimate test for the Buckeyes going up against a Terrapins team that's 5-0.
Right, undefeated, and they've got a quarterback who's all intents and purposes going to pass 10,000 yards career this year, Taulia Tagovailoa, and both Jim Knowles and Ryan Day talked about him a lot today. Talked about the challenges he can present throwing the ball down the field, but also his mobility, I think, is an underrated aspect of him. His ability to extend plays and rush lanes, pass rush discipline, a coordinated pass rush. Those are things that are going to be important for Ohio State, and Knowles talked about that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the pass rush has been a big topic for Ohio State. Only 5 sacks through 4 games so far this season. 0 sacks so far this season by JT Tuimoloau, Jack Sawyer. But Jim Knowles' point on Tuesday when he was asked about that was the keys are win 3rd down, win 4th down, limit explosive plays. If they're doing that, then they're going to be happy with what they're doing on defense. So far, they've been able to do that. Certainly going up against Taulia, though, another test this week.
Yes, you talk about winning 3rd down, though. Offensively, short yardage continues to be a concern for Ryan Day. That was something he talked about a lot in this press conference. So the team wants to convert over 80% of their 3rd and shorts. That's what he said. They're not close to that number, so it's about getting to that. And for him, it's matchup based, right? That's what he said. Guys have to win one-on-one battles, and that's also a thing that I think is true with short yardage, right? It's never one person that's like consistently to blame for a lot of these things. It's every play there's something different, a lapse in execution, or maybe a play call that's questionable, whatever it is. It's that matchup and winning to move the chains on 3rd and short.
Yeah, I mean, the short yardage offense hasn't been good enough. That's no secret. Even with the game-winning touchdown against Notre Dame, that's an area that needs to be better. So as we would have expected, Ryan Day said today that has been a big point of emphasis for the Buckeyes during the bye week, and we'll see against Maryland. I know Maryland's a team that has been very good in the red zone in terms of defense, in terms of limiting touchdowns, and so will be another test for Ohio State this week. Can they finish off drives more consistently? Can we see a bigger number on the scoreboard? I mean, this is a Ohio State team that, aside from the Western Kentucky game and 3 of the other 4 games this year, it's certainly fair to say that they've undershot expectations in terms of how much they've scored. And so we'll see, can Ohio State's offense kick it into another gear this week? Certainly one thing that will help with that, Marvin Harrison Jr. is expected to be full go this week. No limitations after that ankle injury against Notre Dame.
Well, yeah, absolutely huge for the offense, of course. Whenever he's on the field, not only is it the threat he provides, but it's like Ryan talked about again today, he's going to get bracketed, he's going to get extra attention from the defense, and that opens up plays for all of Ohio State's other weapons. So very big that he's going to be back in Ohio State's fold this week.
And of course, one other big topic for today was Ryan Day talking about his comments after the Notre Dame game. I mean, it's been a week and a half, but we're still hearing a lot about those comments Ryan Day made, people chiming in with their opinions on what he said about Lou Holtz, whether that's Desmond Howard, Brady Quinn. And so naturally, Ryan Day was asked about that today. And for the most part, he didn't really want to get into it too much, wants to turn the focus toward Maryland. Of course, it's been a week and a half, so there's no need to necessarily continue to rehash that over and over again. But when he was asked about what goes into that, I did think his insight was interesting in terms of talking about, most of the time you have to just take the high road. Because, I mean, Ryan Day, of course, he takes a lot of criticism. That's just part of the job of being Ohio State's head coach. And I'm sure there's a lot of things he hears that he doesn't like, but he just has to brush them aside. But he said once in a while, you hear something and you just have to stand up for your team. That's part of your job. And clearly, the comments about Ohio State's physicality and questioning Ohio State's ability to win big games with physicality was something that touched a nerve, and Ryan Day felt like that was a situation where he did have to respond.
Right, and I think it's been a prevailing narrative, and that might have been part of it with his program, with his team, that has it's been talked about widely. Are they tough enough, with these losses to Michigan that they've suffered? And I do think it galvanized them in a way when you just talking to the players last week and hearing what Day said and have him go back to it. it's a topic that I think it's about time to move on from in general, because it's been a week and a half, and there's been some comments made, whatever. But it's just an interesting situation. I think something that touched a nerve for the program, like you said.
Ohio State plays Maryland at noon at Ohio Stadium on Saturday. The game is on Fox. We'll get to Peacock stuff next week. But Ohio State plays Maryland Saturday at noon on Fox. We will have coverage all week on 11 Warriors, leading up to that game, during that game, after the game. So stay tuned with 11 Warriors for full coverage of Ohio State, Maryland.